Hey traders, control the trade here. Hope you're having a great day. Wanted to check in 11 a.m. here Eastern Standard Time, and already a wild day in the market as expected. Not as wild as yesterday, but we're getting there. I mean, SPY is coming to an important resistance area right here. High of this candle here is 388.43, and the high here is we just closed at 388.34. Oh man, I just realized that. That's bullish. If we can continue closing 10-minute and hourly candles above this, we're going to make a run here for the pre-market high. I think you got a lot of, this is just my opinion, and maybe it's obvious, but you got a lot of people you got a lot of people in disbelief. I just continue to pick the top and short this market, and it just keeps continuing this never-ending cycle of short squeezes until finally we get the ultimate rug pull, which I believe is still coming, and I don't think we're there yet by any means. One stock that I've talked about, if you guys follow me on Twitter, is Apple. And Apple's kind of like, I keep referring to them as sitting on the bench. It's just waiting. Why is Apple, of all the companies, lagging? It just makes no sense at all. In this all-time highs we're hitting, it's one of the leaders in the S&P. It makes up a large percentage of that. I mean, look how many down days in a row. It's crazy. So to me, this is going to make another run, and it's going to anchor and lead, or it's going to anchor home SPX 4000 along with Amazon. It's just my opinion. It's a feeling, whatever you want to call it. And I was the first person to tell you that this market run-up was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous when SPY was 330. I thought it was ridiculous SPY 350, and so forth and so on. And then you start realizing, don't forget the trend is your friend until the end. And if all the indicators and everything you've learned are bullish, you don't just go against the grain just because it doesn't make sense. The XLF is the strongest I've ever seen it. I mean, as a trader at least. I've been watching the market a long time, more as a buy and hold investor for years. I've been watching it, let's say, since the 90s, mid-late 90s, when I was a teenager and in college. And right now reminds me a lot of kind of the late 90s, when with the .com stuff, it's kind of analogous to the meme stocks and all these retail investors, where when I was in college, we all thought that all these .com companies, didn't matter which one you bought, they were going up. You know, if we had To the Moon and we had emojis back then, we would have been doing that too. Believe me, I was doing stupid shit like selling Boeing because I thought it was boring, because I had like some stocks from, like my bar mitzvah, and I'm selling that, and I'm buying, stupid .com companies. Now, of course, if I got lucky and I'd bought Amazon, we'd be having a different conversation here. But I bought like a company called Siberian Outpost. Now, it crushed for a while, and it reminds me of these stocks that are crushing right now for mostly no apparent reason. And then, of course, they got pummeled like everything else. So we're actually coming up on 21 years to the top of that NASDAQ at that time. So a pretty interesting history lesson. I think I have some alerts going off here. Anyways, let's go to the charts. Let's stop talking about all this nonsense. Oh, FedEx. I just got an alert on FedEx near one of my numbers here. And if the transports and the financials are strong, you better believe the market is strong. Look at that. My number on this chart has been here probably 2-3 years, 259.11. Usually I can tell the older numbers because I use dashed lines now instead of these solid blue lines. And we just went over that number. If it holds above that number, I find that to be an important level. That is bullish, of course. Let's go on. Most people don't really care about FedEx who are watching these videos, but that's a good indicator for me, that and the XLF. Anything part of the transports, let's look at BA. Holy moly. Oh my God, I didn't even know this. Okay, 212 is my number. It's been there for 2+ years. Look at where we opened. Unbelievable. That's when you know you've charted it correctly. And look at this. Look where we found resistance. I'm not making this shit up. 223.03. What's the high here? 222.98, and then boom, 223.06. I mean, sometimes I'm astounded how these numbers work, and the truth is they're magnetic. These numbers are magnetic. When you learn to chart the way I've learned, these are magnetic numbers. Oh, there's one of my alerts, one of my Super Mario Brothers alerts. Let's see what that one is. This is a good, GameStop, of course. GameStop's coming out of the woodwork here because everyone's giving up on it. That's how this stuff works, right? As soon as everyone gives up on it, it goes up. It still has a long, long way to go. Let's look at a 4-hour chart. And I'm just going to let's say ADD all over the place here right now because this market's crazy. It's finally waking up. Alright, I want to take a further look back at this real quick while we're doing this. Wow, look at Tesla too. Everything is melting up. FOMO buying, short covering, all at once. And let's see if GameStop can hold 50. That's a pretty important level. But 57.18 is the biggest goal here because that is the 50-day moving average. But we have not closed above 50 in quite some time. So I think 53 off the top of my head is a number we need to get to for the bull case. Now look at 4607. I hope if you've watched some of my previous videos, I've talked about 4607 as an important area. And you can see it's been important here. We spiked through it, found resistance, finally closed above it, tested it a couple times, and now we've flown up since then. So that's pretty interesting. Let's look at a couple more that I talked about this morning. JMIA, another great number here, 49.77. You can see how we're finding resistance right there, so I'd set an alert above that. And OSTK, I tweeted about this morning. I said the support would be 77. We spiked it, I think, pre-market, and look how we're hovering right around 77.18. I think that's pretty interesting. Still a very bearish look here, but this one is crazy. It usually moves on the squeeze. Set an alarm alert there. Peloton, I think I called the top on this. Doesn't mean it's over yet. I actually am starting to think that this is not the ultimate top, which sounds crazy, but we're pretty far away from that. But it still has some, it looks like it still has a little bit of juice left in it, even though it's getting kind of obliterated right now. It's done this before, where you think it's going to get crushed again. I think around here would have been a great time. If I was talking about Peloton right here, I would have said, see you later, Peloton, you're going down. But look what happened after that. Not saying it's going to happen again, but just be aware of it. Don't think that it's just going to plummet easily. Nothing is right now. It is, as is proven yesterday. It's hard to kill a bull. Some popular ones, and there's a lot of people upset about Workhorse, I'm sure. This one's got a slow mover here. My important number was not met yesterday. Thought maybe it would be met today. This one is actually when the news actually matters, which I don't think news usually does matter for the most part, but this really was a panic kind of sell-off here. So that's a tough one. I really don't have, I want to see how this one closes before I formulate any more opinion on this one. Palantir's just kind of chopping around. That's not very bullish at all. A lot of these popular stocks are kind of disappointing people right now, per se. I like TLRY is trying to make a comeback here. That's interesting. Alright, let's see how GameStop is doing. Got some resistance up there. Now, when you hit this time of the day in the market, it slows down. The first hour is the rush hour, is crazy time. Really, maybe there's a little more crazy time happening after 11, and then it really slows down around lunchtime. Terrible time to trade, usually, unless you have kind of a crazy day like we had yesterday. So it's really about the volume and the activity for that day. But generally speaking, your best opportunities are in the morning. Let's look at a couple more. Look at Mara, because Mara is making a nice comeback here. And one of my important numbers is 3120. And you can see we've gapped over it, and we've been bouncing around on it, and now we're finally breaking out. So this one's looking really strong. And this one is tied almost a correlate to Bitcoin. And if you've followed my tweets, you know that I hate cryptocurrency. I think it's an illusion. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for that and probably lose some followers, and maybe it's partially because I could have bought Bitcoin at like 300 when I didn't know what it was, but I didn't know how to buy it. And I do think it's nonsense still, no matter what. Even if I was making money off of it, I still think it's nonsense. Price-wise, I'm sure the technology, all that, whatever, people want to make their explanations. Great, I'm sure that's great technology, but to the valuation or the price, whatever you're going to call it, is freaking absurd. And I'll trust Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger over anybody, even if they're 90, 95 years old. That it's just a bunch of crap. If you look up Charlie Munger's quotes on it, I highly recommend you do. He says some funny stuff about it. Now, they've been wrong, of course, but I think in the end, it's not going to continue. No, not everyone can just get rich off Bitcoin. I mean, give me a break. All right, let's see here. So enjoy it now. Take your profits for real. What else do we have? Wow, Upwork, big failure here. But it's coming into support right now. Interesting. Not a lot of volume on this one. Shopify surprised me. I thought Shopify was going to bust out a big move today, and it failed pretty hard pre-market. Right here. And it's trying to find some footing. Okay, a couple more. I'm going to wrap this up. Apple yesterday, hopefully you saw my tweet on Apple about support at 119, between 119 and 120. That was a good buy yesterday. But we're going to take another look a little later and check back in one more time. Thanks for watching. Remember, don't let the trade